You ever have a day where it feels like the whole world's just daring you to lose your cool? That's how this all started for me. A busted-up old Ford idling behind a set of plastic barricades on what used to be a perfectly ordinary county road, snow blowing sideways, and two HOA patrol wannabes with matching neon vests playing sheriff in a patch of mountain nothing. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. One minute you're hauling feed for the goats. Next you're staring down the barrel of suburban tyranny, dressed up like public safety. The tall guy struts over, clipboard in hand, radiating that smug, rent-a-cop energy you just can't fake. Sir, access to this road is restricted. Residents and approved contractors only. He's scanning my plates like I'm some kind of threat to the neighborhood. And I'm sitting there, boots still muddy from this morning's chores, wondering if anyone remembers how this road's been here since the Carter administration. My farm's 2 miles that way. I tell him, thumb hitching back over my shoulder. Drove this road since before you had a driver's license. He smiles, tight-lipped, almost like he wants me to swing first. As of last month, this is private infrastructure under the Summit Ridge HOA. You need a permit from our office. That was the moment, the split second you know the universe is about to throw hands. I try to reason, tell him I've got deed maps in the glove box older than both of us. But he's already raising a scanner to my license plate, telling me about citations and tows. I mean, is this real life? Where's the camera crew? But nope, these guys are for real, high on their own authority and backed by nothing but paperwork and plastic signs. I ask him, so what? I'm supposed to teleport my groceries now. He just shrugs, pointing me back to town. That's when I decide I need backup. I call the sheriff, expecting a little common sense, and 25 minutes later, here comes Deputy Caldwell. Small-town law, the kind you used to see on Little League sidelines and church potlucks. He listens, shakes his head, and wades through the HOA paperwork, a stack thicker than a phone book. Turns out, the HOA filed for control, but it's all pending, stuck in bureaucratic limbo. Caldwell shrugs. I can't stop you from going through, but I can't stop them from suing you, either. Park offsite until you sort it out. So I do. I stash the truck in town, crash at a buddy's bunkhouse, and hitch a ride up the next morning, only to find the truck gone, towed by the HOA patrol from a public pullout that's been there since dirt was invented. All that's left is a laminated HOA notice, signed by some made-up enforcement division I've never heard of. That's when I know, this isn't just a headache, it's war. You know what I mean? It's not about a truck. It's not even about a road, really. It's about control. Who gets to decide who comes and goes, who stays, and who gets shoved aside. And me, I wasn't raised to roll over for anybody, especially not some HOA board with too much time and too little sense. I grab my old quad, skirt the forest trails, and sneak home around the back way. Snow in my boots, mud up to my knees, I cut through to the edge of my property and spot a line of HOA security. This time not just clipboards but batons, body cams, and attitude. They threaten trespass, I tell them to buzz off, and then, well, let's just say it got physical. One swings a baton, another grabs my handlebars, and next thing you know I'm wrestling 2 grown men into the mud while the third runs off with his phone, probably hoping for TikTok stardom. I take a baton to the shoulder, but adrenaline carries me home, hands shaking, helmet cam still recording every second. That night, while icing my shoulder and watching the footage back, the knock comes. Caldwell, again, looking more tired than usual. They say you assaulted them, he says. I hand him the flash drive. Helmet cam says otherwise. He sighs, takes it, promises to file it. But I see it in his eyes. He's wishing this would all just disappear. This needs to go through the courts, he says. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Now, some folks think the land's just grass and dirt, but where I come from, land is paperwork. Deeds, plats, surveyor's notes. Hell, I still have the original Forest Service grid from the 70s in my files. So I dig deep. And wouldn't you know it, buried in a 1978 plat is the smoking gun, the road's dedicated to public use, in perpetuity. Bingo. Next day, I'm limping into my buddy Dean's office. He's a land use lawyer now, sharp as barbed wire and twice as prickly. We spread out the maps, the camera footage, everything. Dean grins, shaking his head. They're cooked if this holds. We file for a restraining order, flood the county board with complaints, and start making noise. The HOA, they don't back down, they double down. Suddenly, there's a community bulletin calling me dangerous, a blurry photo of me on their website, even doctored maps showing my property inside their perimeter. But they slip up. The map they used? It's a digital copy of one I made years ago, with just enough tweaks to show fraud, metadata, and all. That's when the press comes sniffing. Local news, Channel 7, asking for comment, wanting interviews. I invite them out, pour them coffee, hand over the whole file. Footage of the fight, the doctored maps, emails showing the HOA's plan to charge tolls for the road. Next night, it's all over the news. Video of me getting jumped, close-ups of the signs, even a soundbite from Dean. The county phones start ringing, and suddenly, the HOA files a lawsuit, battery, property destruction, the works. 75 grand in damages, they say. That's a laugh. We countersue, fraud, assault, grand theft, illegal mapping. And then, plot twist, the HOA's own GIS guy gets sloppy. The state GIS board finds proof the digital maps were doctored by Derek Woodrow, the president's husband, already blacklisted from county contracts. Mullins, a detective with ice in her veins, raids the HOA office, seizes their hard drives, finds more emails and maps. There's evidence they plan to convert the road into a private tollway, even blocked ambulances and delivery drivers from crossing. They weren't just stealing my road, they were angling for the whole ridge. But the real bombshell comes when Vincent, a nervous HOA staffer, walks into Dean's office with a manila envelope full of internal memos and a USB drive. Protocols for harassing landowners. Email chains between Karen Woodrow and State Senator Bergstrom about a bill to let HOAs claim public roads under community safety. We're talking racketeering, fraud, corruption, state-level stuff. Mullins elevates the case, subpoenas start flying, and HOA leadership scrambles. Meanwhile, the community's splitting. The HOA calls me hostile in their newsletters. Strangers show up at my fence line snapping pictures, and a drone hovers over my pasture, until I knock it down with a shotgun, which somehow ends up on the news as unstable landowner threatens public safety. But nothing hits harder than betrayal. Turns out my neighbor Tom Royce, who I'd trusted for years, was feeding intel to Karen for a cut-rate water deal. I don't confront him, just lock the gate and let the grapevine do its work. Sometimes karma's got muddy boots and a long memory. Finally, the day comes. The courthouse is packed. Locals, bloggers, county officials, even a few Summit Ridge folks who probably just want a show. Dean and I walk in, clean shirts, chins up. Karen and Derek sit front row, looking like they're at a country club luncheon. Judge Heller presides. Tough, old school, no nonsense. She rips the HOA's defense to shreds, gives Dean space to drop the plat map, the helmet cam, the doctored files, and lets Mullins testify about everything from the illegal tows to the emails with the senator. Vincent takes the stand, trembling, and says it plain. I came forward because someone was going to get hurt. The HOA's expert witness falls apart under cross, blaming interpretive designations, until Dean shows him the file logs. Derek confesses. Yeah, he moved the boundary at Karen's request. By now, even the jury's shaking their heads. And then the state's attorney stands up with new evidence. Emails between the HOA and the senator about retroactive legalization. Judge Heller doesn't flinch. Effective immediately, all HOA operations are suspended, all personnel to stay away from Mr. Lowry and his property, pending trial. The verdict comes quick, guilty on fraud, trespass, conspiracy, illegal seizure. Karen gets 15 years, Derek 8, 2 patrol goons get 5 each, and the HOA is dissolved. Assets seized, restitution ordered, and that road, my road, restored to the public register, in bold, permanent ink. They tore up the checkpoint, filled the trenches, and by the end of the week, I was back on my land, put up a fresh sign that said, "This road is not HOA property, ever. Trespassers will be met with coffee and laughter. Unless you work for a board." We had a little cookout, just friends, Mullins, Vincent, and his kid. I didn't invite Tom. He tried to swing by once, holding a case of beer, but I just told him, "You made your choice," and walked away. Sometimes, you don't need words. The silence is enough. As for the money, almost $2 million in damages. Sure, I spent a little. Reinforced the gate, new security, flowers along the drive, fixed up the barn and greenhouse. Life slowed down. Summit Ridge went quiet. Houses empty, assets sold, The old clubhouse bought up by some tech bro dreaming of a digital detox retreat. Karen's in state prison, Derek's divorced and blacklisted, the senator retired to spend more time with family. I hear subpoenas make good company. Sometimes, in the quiet, I catch a glimpse of a drone over the tree line, but mostly it's just wind and goats and coffee by the fence. Funny thing, turns out, after all this, paperwork's what saved my land. The mountain's still here, still indifferent, still growing. The scars will fade, old tire marks, torn brush, busted gates. You build over it, one step at a time. A while back, a young couple in a dusty Subaru drove up, looking for a place to start over. They asked who owned the mountain. I just grinned, said, "Nobody owns the mountain. You just keep it company a while." They smiled and drove off, and that was that. No need to own everything. Just need to stand your ground, tell the truth, and maybe, every once in a while, have a little faith that justice is still possible out here. So tell me, where do you stand on all this? Was the county right to step in? Do HOAs go too far, or was I just too stubborn for my own good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your own stories of small-town fights or neighborhood nonsense. Because one thing's for sure, out here, the story never really ends. It just waits for the next person brave enough to write the next chapter.